Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Thought we would take you out on a cross-country schooling session today. I'm going to walk you through some of the exercises that we worked on and explain to you what was happening. I hope you enjoy it. It's very important when you're going cross-country schooling that you allot enough time for your warm-up. Don't rush this part of the ride. They need to go out and have a nice hack, and then have a nice trot and a nice canter around and make sure that the horse is sufficiently loose and warmed up for the jumping. So the horse I'm going to be jumping for you today is Prophet. He's a really nice young trainer horse. He's done a couple of 3-stars, and one thing that I think is really important with all of them is that you spend some time in the beginning warming them up. And what I'm working on here today with Prophet in the beginning of this ride is actually trotting some fences. It's something that sometimes gets skipped over, especially with the older horses, but I'm really a big believer in trotting fences because it teaches the horses to take their time and pay attention to what they're jumping in. Prophet can get really keen, and sometimes it gets us into trouble on the cross country, so I'm just allowing him to trot down to these little logs and kind of figure this stuff out on his own. So you see I'm bringing him back to trot at the conclusion of that line so that he understands he has to stay focused, and then just trotting here, letting him figure that little log out as well. I really spent a fair bit of time working on this. So now we've trotted a few of the jumps, and I'm going to start incorporating some cantering of something other than just logs. So again, I start out in the trot there over those 2 logs, and now I'm just going to come through my show jump ring and present him to what I would sort of call the first real jump of the day. But you can see I'm going to just let him take his time, kind of figure it out, ride him up to a good distance, but almost more in a show jumping balance there to start. And then again, just to reiterate with Prophet, because he does get keen, I'm just bringing him back to trot, popping over that little log there. And now I'm going to carry on to my first real true warm-up exercise of the day that involves some real effort in jumping, which is just 2 coops here. So I'm going to break it down. They're just on a slight bending line, and I'm going to jump out over that one there. Get him nice and rideable. You can see now the canter's just a little bit more forward, a little bit more open, but still that nice balance, relaxed feeling in the canter I think is so important. We jump each of these fences jumping out of the line first. So from there, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put these 2 fences together. If you were out on a cross-country course at a competition, you would definitely be riding these 2 roll tops in 4 strides. So to start with here, I'm going to ride them nice and quiet, and I'm actually going to add a stride and go 5 between these roll tops. Now, in reality, the number doesn't really matter there at all, but I want to make sure that I have my horse quiet and listening, and so I know by riding the add in the beginning, sometimes that will just help keep him quiet, keep him thinking, without me having to restrict him and pull and tug on him. So we just ride nice and quiet in, and let him have a nice quiet jump out. It's a good start to the day. So now Prophet's warmed up and he's ready to go. So the first question that I'm going to start working on with him is actually the Coffin. What we're going to have here is a skinny upright rail, 1 stride to a ditch, and then 3 or 4 strides, depending on how he comes in, to a corner. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in and jump the C element, or the corner, by itself. I'm happy with that, so now I'm going to go ahead and let him come down, and we're just going to jump a few sort of straightforward jumps. It's a little training level table here, and then we've got a nice bending line to a training level corner, which again is fairly straightforward for Prophet. He has a nice jump there, and then we're going to have a canter around here, letting him open up a little bit more, but still the whole point of today, because we don't have any competitions coming anytime soon, is that he's just rideable, having fun, enjoying himself, and understanding everything that he jumps into. So now we come back around and we're going to line up this Coffin. Now you remember in the beginning I said numbers don't really matter that much, and this is going to be an example of that. So we have this narrow vertical upright, and here it's 18 feet to the ditch. He gets that done well. But then he actually goes 4 strides out there to the corner. I don't mind that. He was looking at the fence, paying attention where he was going. I was quite happy with him. Now, I'm a big believer that your best training tool is repetition. So, although the 4 strides there to the corner was no problem, I did feel like he just shuffled in a little bit in the last stride before takeoff and just wobbled between my legs. So I'm going to come back around and just give it one more ride here and see if he just comes a little more direct to the corner. So I like the balance. I'm happy with where we're at. Comes in, gets a good jump in. And that, to me, was a better jump. He looked a little bit straighter and more direct at the corner. That's the idea. If it's pretty good the first time, sometimes you come back around and try it a second time, and it's even better. From there, we're going to jump these 2 angled brushes. These are on 25 feet. And they're just nice, straightforward planks with some brush stuffed in the top of them. And really working on the straightness with this horse. Pretty happy with him there. So from there, we went ahead and moved on to the water. Now, like I said before, I believe in repetition to train these horses, and I want him to understand everything that he's jumping into. So as we come in here into the water, we jump this log in the middle, and you can see I let him just sort of figure that log out. I could have certainly pressured him up to it, closed my leg a little bit harder, and made him jump from a better distance, but I kind of want him to have to figure some of this out on his own. So I sat quiet and supported and didn't chase him over that. Now we're coming back around, we're going to jump the same log back the other way, and I'm going to try to give him the same ride and not pressure him too much. You can see he already answered that question better. We've got a nice ride up to a skinny on the hill here, and then it's 5 strides down to a right-handed shoulder brush on the way out. So to give you a little bit of a different angle on it, and because I wanted Prophet again to have to just repeat this one more time to make sure he really understood the question, I came again. You can see he's very focused on the skinny at the top of the hill, and then I just shift my eye, look down to the brush, and that's the answer that I'm looking for from this horse, that they're always searching out the flags. One thing you'll notice is that while not everything I jump has flags, all of the skinny fences that I ever school on the property here are flagged so that the horses start to learn to look for those flags. Really important. So from the water, we come over to Black Horse Lane, our sunken road. Sometimes Prophet likes to jump off of banks a little bit too big, which can make the sunken roads get a little bit quick. So the first thing you're going to see is that I'm actually pretty forward with my upper body jumping in to the sunken road, because I know that this horse is going to be keen to go. So I want to make sure I'm forward with him and not driving too much with my seat off the bank and encouraging him to jump out further. The other thing that you should have noticed there is that I'd actually put a rail, a show jump pole, down in the middle of the sunken road, similar to if I had a gymnastic set up in the show jumping. It's really the same thing. This is just a gymnastic. So again, I'm going to come back the other direction. Nice collected canter, trying to stay softly in balance with my horse and not driving too much with my seat. And again, here you can see my position is forward, but my lower leg is strong and underneath me. And he jumps through there calmly and understanding the question, which is so important. Okay, so now that he's jumped through there quietly, we're going to raise the difficulty level for Prophet and myself just a little bit. So the first thing we do is just come canter down through the sunken road. This first bit is fairly straightforward. We're just going to jump these 2 brushes. The first one here with a little bit of a drop down through the bottom, nicely out, and now we're going to come through the sunken road. I've gone ahead and removed the pole from the bottom of the sunken road. So we're going to jump across the bottom on 21 feet, and then we've got 19 feet out to a skinny log. So I want to see if Prophet is still going to be nice and quiet, soft on the way in, looking where he's going. His ears are pricked and looking for the next fence. That's the way we want it done. All right, so we're going to finish up the ride down at the bottom water jump. So we've got a little table here in the woods, little coop. And then we just make a 90-degree turn and down to a log similar to the one we jumped in the upper water. Again, I'm not going to pressure him. And you can see he's picked that up much more easily now than he did the first time he jumped it up in the upper water. We roll back on ourselves, and now we're going to drop down into the water. So we've practiced this already at the sunken road. And again, keeping the theme in mind of not wanting to pressure him too much, but let him start to figure this out. I'm going to support him with my leg, but I'm not going to chase him into the water. And you can see he gets a decent enough jump in. Eyes are on the fence on the way out, and he leaves pretty big and strong for me there. So not unhappy with that ride, but just to confirm that everything is where we want it to be, I'm going to give him one more time. Again, using that repetition as part of my training. So we come back and we jump that coop up in the woods. Roll back on ourselves. Good effort there. And what's really important to me here is not so much the jumps, but is he staying rideable between the jumps? This horse has to keep thinking, paying attention, and staying calm in his mind so that he can take care of business. So again, letting him kind of figure out the drop in, gives a little bit of a shuffle there, and gets a much better jump on the way out. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. If you liked what you saw, please make sure you hit the subscribe button.